There, see? That's what's showing up. Showing Cesar. Shows up on the... I don't know why I went to... Oh, it's because of Skype. That's why. Close that. I'm playing videos. I'm broadcasting. I'm playing videos off of YouTube. Man, I'm dancing on the roof with this thing. That's from Centex Computers. My good friend Steve down there. Go see him. He will build you a monster affordable. If you have a computer now, you got the blue screen of death, you got crap all over it, take it down there. He'll clean it up. He will keep your information and help save it, and just take it down there. If you got one of those slippery little iPhones or iPads, somebody had the bright idea of making them out of glass. Thank you, Mr. Engineer. Slides off your lap or something and hits the concrete and shatters all over the place. Take it down to Steve, and he'll fix it. He'll fix the screen and get it running. So that's Centex Computers of Ohio, proud sponsor of Armed Radio. Welcome back to the show. I'm with Cesar Ramirez of Marc Productions Enterprises, talking about his new film, The Road to Juarez. And we talked about the cast and the film, and it looks, like I said, I want to go see this film just because it looks so good. I mean, I know I'm pandering a little bit here, but I watched the trailer. I did the homework that you asked me to do, but I kind of glanced over the cast. But now I'm talking to you. Now you get into it more. And this looks like it's going to be a fun movie. And if people want to go to it and see it in style. Oh, here we go. We got a caller. Cool. Let's answer. Let's see who's on the phone here. Welcome to the show, caller. State your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, this is David Ponce de Leon, and I'm the director of Road to Juarez.
And you're the director of the movie. Well, welcome to the show, sir. I'm sitting here with your producer, Mr. Ramirez. Yeah, we're talking about the show. How was it directing this? Is 4 years it was to direct this?
Well, the whole project took about, I want to say 4.5 years from start to finish. We're actually coming up on year 5 now, which is definitely a trip. But yeah, it was definitely quite a tough road, you know. When you set out to make a feature film, as Cesar will tell you, or like anybody who's ever made a film at sort of any budget level, it's you know, I mean, any film that gets finished is really sort of like a walking miracle, because your film has falls apart various times, and you know, our film probably died about 25 times. So, you know, once all those moving parts sort of come into the same rhythm and you know, kind of get into harmony, then, you know, you can actually get your movie made. So, I wrote the script about 4.5 years back, went through a lot of drafts of it, and then took probably about a year to raise the funds. Cesar is an amazing executive producer. He was able to really line up things really quickly, quicker than I thought, actually. So once Cesar came on board, things really started to happen quickly. Scott Rosenfeld, the guy who produced, you know, is a great friend. He's very talented. You know, he did films like Home Alone, Mystic Pizza, Teen Wolf. You know, he's like been in the game for a long time. He was able to sort of be the credibility, kind of like the front man, since this was my first feature film. You know, I'd worked in the business for about 15 years, doing all sorts of things like commercials, music videos, short films. But this was my first feature, and it was kind of interesting and humbling because, you know, having been in the business for close to 15 years, thinking that you know, I was starting to learn something. It's very humbling to be perceived and viewed by the Hollywood community as a first-time director, even though, you know, you don't feel like that for sure. So it was definitely a process, but like I said, to get it to the point where the script was as ready as I felt it could be. Once we started casting, it was really, it really blew us away, because to see the words, you know, come alive, and then when we got our cinematographer, Jonathan West, who was an ASE cinematographer, things really started to fall into place as well. I mean, this guy's worked on, series like Charmed, like many films. He's been doing 25 years of television, and it was very important to me to get a cinematographer who had a lot of experience, because we were going to be needing to move fast. And whenever you do sort of a film at this budget level, your time is always limited, and it's extremely limited because you don't have that much money. So you really got to be creative and stay on your toes and sort of make miracles with the time and money that you have. So this being a road film, many people, when they make their first films, sort of go for a more safe bet. Like they'll do something that takes place in a house, right. Just keep it small, keep it in a like in a house, make it a horror thing, or just have a bunch of kids running in the like in the forest, and keep it easy. I really did not want to do that. Many people said, hey, just do something easy for your first one. And I said, you know what, it was very important to me to make a film that I would want to go see, and if you can think, that I would want to go see at the theater. So if you can look at a film like, say, Easy Rider, if you can imagine, watching that only on a, like on a DVD screen, like on a smaller screen, that's not what I wanted, so I went out.
You wanted a feature film.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, so you just wanted to go big.
Well, I wanted to go as big as possible, because the way that we came up with this idea was, I always saw it sort of as a cross between Motorcycle Diaries and Blow. Two films that really turned me on, and that's kind of what it is. I mean, it's kind of it's based on a true story of these two lovable losers who go on this life-altering journey through Mexico, and they come back a lot. So they get into these crazy
it's kind of
organizations, right? And they get in a way, sort of over their head.
It's kind of a buddy movie.
I'm sorry?
It's kind of a buddy movie. Two guys.
You're right. Yeah. You're right. I mean, it is a buddy movie, but I see it more as a road movie. So you really need to see that in the theaters. And when we got picked up by Mousetrap Films, it was such a blessing and so humbling, because to know that your vision is going to be seen the way that it was intended to be seen, which is on the big screen, is just knocked us out, man. Because there's nothing like watching a film in a theater and hearing the music. I mean, we've got so much excellent music. We have bands from all around the world. We have an amazing, composer named Luis Perez, who's like composes and has worked with Hans Zimmer. Big elements that films in our budget level don't ever get. We've got William Forsythe, we've got Ala Ramones, we've got Walter Perez, we've got Charlie Coons, who's now in one of the leads in the new CBS CSI Cyber, so just major blessings, man, all around.
Well, we're talking to David Ponce de Leon, the director of The Road to Juarez, on the Ring Central Celebrity Hotline. What was the biggest challenge that you had when you made this? You said it's a road movie, which means you probably had to be in multiple locations. What was the biggest challenge you had to overcome when filming this movie?
That's a good question. I would say that probably the Mexico stuff, because 2/3 of this film takes place in Mexico City, Mexico country. I had never shot in Mexico. I lived in Mexico for probably about 3 or 4 years, but it's a very different thing to shoot in Mexico, especially when you don't sort of have when you don't know how things work, So we were very, very lucky, because we had a guy named Sergio Alvarez.
Sergio Alvarez.
Sergio Alvarez, yeah, he was from a film company called Fungi Films, and that guy did such a tremendous job pulling everything together in Mexico. So it really, made it a lot easier. But probably the hardest thing I would have to say is sort of getting the sort of high production value look that I had always seen in my head, and trying to capture that with the limited budget and the limited tools that we had. So, like, as an example, we shot a lot in the desert. We didn't have the budget to take the whole crew to Juarez, Mexico. So we had to find a California desert location that could work. So we actually wound up shooting in Lancaster, California, in the summertime. So it was about 115 degrees several days, and we had people in the crew passing out, hyperventilating. Our makeup girl passed out twice, and there were rattlesnakes involved. There were black widows in the walls when we were shooting the climax scene. So just the fact that nobody got hurt was such a miracle, but yeah, that was probably the hardest part, was shooting all the desert stuff, because to really get that visual palette of the kind of look that I wanted to go for, we really needed to go way out there, and when you don't have $50 million, it's not that easy to go way out there.
Holy cow! Well, David Ponce de Leon, as a director. You said you wrote the script. What was your? I know it said it was based on a true story. Mm-hmm. Now, is that? How did you come across this story? I mean, what was it? Was it like an article, or did you know some folks that were directly involved, or what? How did you come across the foundation for the script?
That's an excellent question. I was actually writing a film. The original title of the film was Morelos, which is a small town in Mexico where I used to live. We were actually, I wanted to set out to write something that we could do on a limited budget and basically use all of my family, because they've all got houses over there, and they've all got like a restaurant here, maybe a bar there. So I pretty much wrote everything to shoot in Mexico. Now, right around the time when we started to hear that they were finding bodies and heads in hefty bags and all these crazy things in Mexico, Juarez this, Juarez that, and you would see it every other day on the Yahoo. They just found 50 heads in like hefty bags. It started to become a little bit crazy, because I started to think, well, my film's never going to get made, because no one's ever going to want to go shoot anything in Mexico. So then I ran across this article on the Homeland Security website of these people, of how the line between illegal animal products and all this, that's a huge billion dollar market, about how the line between all those things that we use in our boots, in our belts, in our hats, all those goods, and all these endangered animals like anacondas, like all these crazy geckos, all these endangered and protected animals are a huge business, especially here in the States. So this article was all about how the lines were blurring between that industry and, of course, the cartels and kind of what they do, and that whole part of the underworld. So it kind of got me excited, because I found this one story, and I'm not going to get into too much of it, but you'll have to go see the film on April 24th, so you can kind of get a better idea. But I was able to take that sort of article and integrate it and weave it into the film that that I was writing at the time, and I just kind of needed to make all those things that seemed to be negatives. I needed to make them, or find a way to make them into a positive. So we just kind of changed the name, changed kind of the mission, and we kind of adapted it to something that was a little more topical and would kind of resonate with, like viewers now, and would